Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. Jeffrey Cooperstein here. Hope everyone is enjoying their Thanksgiving week so far. On today's show, we have trade rumors on DeMar DeRozan of the Sacramento Kings and Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors. Could these two guys be on the move prior to the 2026 NBA trade deadline, and maybe even before that, here before the calendar year even hits 2026? We'll discuss all of that, but to start today's show, I want you guys to call your shot down in the comment section. Who will be the biggest star to get traded this season? Do you think it'll be the likes of Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson, Ja Morant? Could it be one of the two guys we're going to talk about today? Let me know down in the comment section who you think the biggest star to get traded will be. We'll start today's show with DeMar DeRozan, who after a 5-13 start to the season, the Sacramento Kings could be open to shopping some of their veteran players, DeRozan, Sabonis, Keon Ellis, among those that have been named in trade rumors surrounding the Sacramento Kings. But this DeRozan story is really interesting because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And here's what Sam Amick of The Athletic had to say, who does great work over there. The 36-year-old, who league sources say has some interest from the Los Angeles Clippers, has a partial guarantee on his deal for next season, approximately $10 million of his $25.7 million. And when you see the Clippers as the name that was mentioned for DeMar DeRozan, that doesn't really make sense because, yeah, the Kings are 5-13. Well, the Clippers are 5-12 and not much better. They're in basically the exact same spot that the Kings are. So not sure why the Clippers would be interested in DeMar, especially when they already have their old Grizzly vets in James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. Now, the Clippers are 21st in offense so far this year, so they certainly could use a spark. And DeMar DeRozan has put up very solid numbers with the Kings this year in 18 games, averaging almost 19 points, 50% from the field, and he's even shooting 36% from three, which is not something that DeRozan is known for. I mean, he's known as a mid-range assassin, someone who just lives in the 10 to 15-foot range. But now that he's kind of developing a three-point shot and shooting it with some sort of efficiency, that could certainly elongate his career a couple of years. Like we mentioned, he does have a partially guaranteed part of his contract for about $10 million of the $25.7 that he'd be owed next season. So it could be feasible for the Clippers to make a trade. But if you're asking me, I think the Clippers should just go in a different direction. Like, instead of going out and buying DeMar DeRozan and trying to pair him with Kawhi and James Harden, how about maybe trading away James Harden, maybe trading away Kawhi Leonard and trying to get younger? Because I don't think that team's going anywhere this year. I had them pegged as one of the teams that I thought could be fighting for the 6th seed in the West and maybe in the play-in spot, but they have not started out well this season at all. There's just a lot of dysfunction there offensively, and I'm not sure that DeRozan is the real fix for that because, yes, he is shooting 36% from three this year, but is he really going to space the floor enough to open up their offense and get Ivica Zubac and get James Harden and get Kawhi Leonard more looks than they're already getting? I really don't know if that's going to be the case, so I'm not sure that the Clippers would be a fit for DeMar, but there's another team that we're going to talk about later in the show where I think could potentially be a fit for DeRozan. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already right here at youtube.com/chatsportstv. We have all of the NBA rumors and news leading up to the 2026 NBA trade deadline in February. We'll, of course, be live for that as well. It's going to be here before you know it, so stay locked in for all of the latest NBA musings right here at youtube.com/chatsportstv. Now, what's going on with Jonathan Kuminga? And this whole saga has just been super weird. Like, Kuminga is somebody who was a restricted free agent who basically the Golden State Warriors were torn on bringing back. Their owner, Joe Lacob, really likes Kuminga, wanted to bring him back. Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy did not really want to do a deal to bring Jonathan Kuminga back to the Warriors. It's just a very interesting situation with going on there. And the fact that his knee injury is a bit of a mystery just kind of adds to the mystique surrounding Kuminga and what might happen here in the future. Anthony Slater, who's one of the most plugged-in Warriors insiders out there on the internet, said that the MRI on Kuminga's knees came back clean, so there is no structural damage. He's been reporting soreness for about 2 weeks, and the Warriors were hopeful he would scrimmage on Sunday, but he didn't. So is this a situation where Kuminga is reporting this soreness to avoid playing for the Warriors, or is this a situation where his knee just isn't getting as healthy as they thought it needed to be? It's just not a good situation between JK and the Dubs, and ultimately the best thing for both parties is going to be a separation. And whether that comes now via trade or in the offseason, I just think these two just have to go their separate ways as soon as possible. Hell, they probably should have done it this offseason. But the Warriors really couldn't find a trade for JK, and Kuminga didn't find a trade or didn't find a market enough for somebody to go get him an offer sheet in restricted free agency. So they were kind of stuck with each other, and the saga continues. And we'll discuss a trade that will maybe help out JK and the Warriors here in just a moment. But before we do that, today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. It is the holiday season where you and I are constantly having to make decisions on what kind of food to eat, what game to watch, where to go for the holidays, and all of that good stuff. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring this episode of NBA Now by Chat Sports. The best time of year for sports with bowl games, basketball matchups, and playoff pushes is all happening at once on PrizePicks, where it feels good to be right. PrizePicks has a new feature right now where they offer stacks, meaning you can put the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You can only do that on PrizePicks. So, for instance, if you want to pick the more on DeMar DeRozan points, rebounds, and assists, you can do that on PrizePicks as well. And you can also make season-long projections like we have here at PrizePicks for the basketball league here. I'm going to pick the more on Brandon Miller, points per game average at 22. Miller has kind of dealt with some injuries this year, so when he comes back, hopefully he can get that up. Same with Dylan Harper, where I took the less on points per game average at 13.2. And I took the more on Luka Doncic, points per game average at 29.1. That one is absolutely going to hit. Super easy to play in over 40 states, including California, Georgia, and Texas. And they put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, and Cash App for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, that is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That link will be in the comments and description of today's show. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. Joe Shosky out in the Bay Area at 97.5 The Game had this to say about Jonathan Kuminga. And this is actually crazy because if you know what's going on between Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers, this is saying something serious. He said, I think we have a better chance of seeing Brandon Ayuk on the 49ers roster after February 1st than Jonathan Kuminga on the Warriors. That is basically saying they are guaranteeing Jonathan Kuminga is getting traded because Brandon Ayuk not going to play another game for the San Francisco 49ers either. But here's the thing about Jonathan Kuminga. He was obviously a lottery pick, and look, he has all the talent in the world. You can see the flashes of ability with Jonathan Kuminga. At the end of the day, though, he's just really not been a winning basketball player for the Golden State Warriors, and Steve Kerr has been very hesitant to put him in situations where the Warriors are in a clutch time situation or where they need to go win a basketball game, especially like in games that matter and in the postseason. But he did have this to say, kind of giving some validation to the injury rumors surrounding Kuminga, that he said he's not moving well, and he said, I have no idea when he's going to play. So it does actually sound like Kuminga has a little bit of a knee problem despite the MRI coming back clean, and he's still reporting that soreness. So who knows if JK is actually going to play for Golden State in the coming days, weeks, maybe even months. But one thing I do know is the Warriors are ready to move on, and I think Kuminga is frankly ready to move on from the Warriors as well. And shout out to Evan Siddery, who had this, and we remember during the offseason that the Kings and the Warriors did have trade dialogue surrounding Jonathan Kuminga, where they were talking about a potential sign and trade in restricted free agency. It just really didn't work out, but those talks could pick up again around the trade deadline, which would send Kuminga from Golden State to Sacramento, which is just 90 minutes away. And Golden State could build a compelling package around Kuminga, Moody, Buddy Hield, for DeMontis Sabonis and Keon Ellis, which I think would be a crazy deal if I was the Sacramento Kings, to be honest with you. But Sacramento has by far been the most interested in Kuminga throughout the last couple of seasons. Their owner really likes him for whatever reason, but the problem is the Golden State Warriors under Joe Lacob also really likes him as well. I do think that a deal involving Kuminga heading to the Kings, would make sense for both sides. However, this trade I'm about to show you, I kind of think is a lose-lose for both teams. Like, yes, the Warriors would get the best player in the deal in DeMar DeRozan, but they're also getting a 36-year-old who doesn't really offer them anything that they don't already have. And then they would end up giving up JK, Peyton, and a second heading to the Kings. Look, the Kings would get the player they covet in Jonathan Kuminga, so maybe they would be happy. But at the end of the day, I don't think this is a trade that necessarily would be good for either team. Now, if it ends up getting executed at the deadline, remember that you found it here at Chat Sports. But I just don't know if this is a thing that would happen simply because I don't know if the Warriors want DeMar DeRozan. I think they would like to get rid of Jonathan Kuminga. Do they want to get rid of Kuminga so much where they would give up GP2 and a second in addition to DeMar? I'm not so sure about that one. But as we just showed you, I mean, these teams have already had trade talks already surrounding not only Jonathan Kuminga, but Domantas Sabonis and some other pieces as well. So it's certainly possible that a trade between the Warriors and Kings could happen here in the next couple of weeks or so. But would it involve DeMar DeRozan? Would it involve Jonathan Kuminga? Only time will tell when it comes to those two guys. You answer this question, though, to end today's show. Will Kuminga end the year on the Warriors? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know down in the comment section if you think JK is going to be a dub throughout the rest of the season. And that will do it for today's show, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in to NBA Now by Chat Sports. Like I said, we'll have you covered with all of the latest NBA news and rumors throughout the 2025-26 NBA season. So stay tuned, lock us in, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a video.